Watch us talk sports
each Wednesday at noon
on WEIU.net, WEIU Digital TV.
I'm Rob Calhoun.
I'm Jeff Owens.
And Rameen Karbassioon.
On our third show, we'll talk a lot of EIU.
Check in on the NBA and the NHL playoffs.
Just about anything else that comes to our mind in the world of sports.
First off, our favorite sporting event to watch.
Man, I want to say Super Bowl, but you got to realize the NCAA basketball tournament is just so much fun because it lasts over the 3 weekends. So I'll go NCAA men's tournament followed by Super Bowl.
I will give the same kind of answer Jeff said. The obvious answer would be Super Bowl, but I'm a prisoner of the moment, and I've said this before. I am in the minority when it comes to being a fan of the NBA. I have loved watching the NBA playoffs since I was a kid, and you can't deny these are the best basketball players on the planet. And some of these games down the stretch, and watching Lakers, Celtics, and the Bulls run in the playoffs, NBA playoffs are fantastic.
I really like the World Series, especially when a team that I like is involved in it. Watching the World Series and seeing who's going to come out in that 7-game series, especially if it does go 7 games.
Drama in baseball in the playoffs is unbelievable.
There you go. Side note to baseball: last night the White Sox and the Braves game, the guest telecaster for the White Sox, Bob Costas.
Wow.
He did the game. It was an 80s throwback game. Him and Steve Stone did it. It was like going back in time. It was really, really good.
Yeah, and then the White Sox walked that game off. A guy, his first major league game.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Really good shit. If you want to go back and watch some of the highlights, I'll tell you guys some of that. All right, NBA and NHL, we'll give you an update where we stand. Right now, the NBA is 2 games to 1. Knicks, all road teams so far have won. And in the NHL, 2-2 between Vegas and Carolina. That one really looks like it's going 7, guys.
Yeah. Jordan Stahl really had a great game last night for the Hurricanes. Had 2 big goals, including the one that put the Hurricanes ahead as they ended up winning that game 5-3.
I've been watching the NBA Finals, and they said it's only the second time in NBA Finals history where the first 3 games have all been road wins, just as you said, Jeff. This one I feel like is still going at least 6, maybe the max 7. Victor Wembanyama is unbelievable, and there was nothing more glorious to me as a fan to see the Knicks lose at home.
So yeah, I get it.
All right, we are going to talk mostly today about, we're wearing shirts here that say EIU because we do obviously work here at Eastern Illinois University, and we're going to talk mostly the holy grail of topics that we talk about probably more times than we want to admit before we get going every day, EIU athletics and all the topics that you might imagine.
All right, all-time EIU football player, Rob, then Rameen.
Well, I am going to go with somebody that probably a lot of people haven't heard of. His name is Nick Nasty. He was an outside linebacker for Eastern Illinois. His senior year, 114 tackles, first team OVC, and I got to meet his parents, and his parents were just as crazy as Nick. They would go, "Come on, Nick, let's get nasty." And he really did get nasty that senior year. That was one of my favorite players to watch, and yelling, "Come on, Nasty!"
We used to do the games on TV on WEIU, and it was Nick Nasty with an I. I'll go next, and because of the coming questions that we have on our list, I can kind of cheat here. If I had a 1A and a 1B on a question, this will kind of tease what I'm going to say later in one of the questions. My favorite EIU football player is Tony Romo. I like to say to people, because of when I went to school, and he was a classmate to some degree, and I taped his games, I was the original #1 Tony Romo fan. I got all kinds of Tony Romo stuff in my office, and it was so cool to see when you look back on it. He came in, even his freshman year when the team was bad. I was in the band in addition to doing Newswatch, and Romo was popular then. And they're like, put Romo in, Romo. And so then when he got his shot his sophomore year, and then he went on that 3-year run, you can't deny that Tony Romo is not one of the most liked EIU athletes of all time.
Well, it's funny that his freshman year, we were headed down to Orlando to the University of Central Florida, and my dad and I were on the plane because I went down there to help him, and Tony sat with us, and my dad goes, "This is Tony Romo," and I had no idea who he was.
Well, Romo played his freshman year 1 game, and one of the great trivia questions of all time for EIU sports is, who is the previous starting quarterback before Tony Romo? It's Anthony Buich.
There you go. There's a trivia question. Well, I'm going to go back to like Rameen said, a little more of a college experience for me. Sean Payton is my all-time favorite EIU football player, and really Calvin Thomas, who was his tight end H-back, would probably be number two. But Sean was great. I had him in class, a few classes in the old Coleman Hall here at Eastern Illinois University. But I just, he was one, since I knew him, and then to watch his career progress, it's a cool thing to know somebody, but it's also cool how great he was in college. Eastern Airlines, they called it, because he just threw the ball all the time, all over the place to guys like Thomas and Dwayne Pitts and Jerry Waring. So Sean for me.
For people at home, we have in our history at WEIU in our stacks, as we like to call them, the old 3/4-inch tapes. I've stumbled across those because I got bored one day and started going through them. And whoever the narrator was for all those old Panther Club videos, that gentleman said Eastern Airlines, piloted by Sean Payton. It's never leaving my brain.
Everyone, who's your favorite all-time EIU basketball player?
I can guess his.
Well, let's see. Nope.
No, it's not O. Henry.
Teammate.
All right.
That 2000-2001 EIU basketball team, men's basketball team, I lived it. I was a student here. I experienced the great comeback against Austin Peay. And I'm going to go Kyle the Thrill Hill. There's another player that I could put in there. Jay Taylor would be like a 1B, because these are guys that, they just lit it up.
Yep.
They could shoot it. They could fly down the court and dunk. O. Henry was fantastic. But there was just something magical about when the ball got in the hands of Kyle Hill.
I'll say it then. Oh, Henry. The Henry Dahmer cat. I mean, that guy could shoot a basketball. And you had to remember the old Henry candy bars back then, too.
Matt Pyazinski, Henry bars for everyone.
Yeah, it was just really great to just watch him play, and just the smoothness he shot the ball with was fantastic.
How spoiled was Rick Samuels those couple of years, and seeing 5,000 fans come to Lance every night to see those two guys who they didn't play in the NBA, but they both got drafted. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, those would be probably 1B and 1C for me, but I'm going to going back to school. Sir Duck, Kevin Duckworth,
oh my
00.
Gosh.
Duck was he was larger than life in real life, but he was larger than life on a campus like this too. He would walk through campus and people would just look, because he was humongous. Great personality, a fun guy, and obviously he went from here to the Trailblazers, got them to the finals a couple of times.
Had a really good career in the NBA.
Yeah, a good NBA. Unfortunately, has passed away, but I got to go with Kevin Duckworth as my all-time favorite EIU basketball
It's interesting you bring that up, because EIU men's basketball now, Marty Simmons, they just signed the second ever 7-footer in EIU basketball history. The first was Kevin Duckworth. All right, pretty good question here. Everyone, who is your favorite all-time non-EIU football player or basketball player?
I'm going to go with Jade Rybold. She was a track and field athlete for Eastern Illinois. She did the pole vault. 2012 and 2013 indoor and outdoor OVC track athlete of the year. 2013 All-American. She really put EIU on the map as far as track and field goes for women.
I'm going to make Amber May mad, but I'm going with Panther catcher Sophia Ullman, the current catcher on the EIU softball team, who's got to the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. She's just my favorite player. She's gritty. She's always getting hurt and bouncing right back up. So I'm going with Sophia Ullman.
Well, Jeff just said who I'm going to say, because I was considering this for another category, but I taped her. We're living in the moment of all when we saw these people play. I'm going to go Amber May. We did the Panther Sports Talk Coaches Show back in the day, and did anybody get a hit off her? I mean, literally, it looked like every time it was a strikeout, and she was unhittable, and just a great pitcher on the mound. There have been a lot of great pitchers at EIU. There were even pitchers that came after her, but I'm going to go Amber May.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. All right, here's the tough one. This is the bar bet or the bar discussion that everybody loves.
This is the Holy Grail question.
The Holy Grail. You really, Jeff Christensen would be fourth on this.
He
list.
was drafted.
Yeah, he was in the camp of the Bengals. But EIU, we're going to rank who we believe in order are the three best all-time EIU quarterbacks, and I mean, we're assuming everybody's going Peyton, Garoppolo, and Romo. I'll go first. I'm going Sean Payton, Jimmy G, then Tony Romo, mainly because I saw a lot of Sean's games and most of Jimmy's games. I like Tony Romo. I think what he's done is great for the university and great for his career. But in my world, he's third because I just didn't see him as much.
I'll go next, and I think my order is similar. I'm going to put Romo at 3. I know the numbers.
Wow.
I know the numbers because Peyton set the records. Then Tony started to break some of the records, and then Jimmy G with that prolific Dino Babers offense just shattered most of the records. I'm going to go Jimmy G, Peyton, Romo.
Okay.
Wow, we're all three going to come up with something different
That's
here.
awesome.
And, I put Romo number one just because of the success that he had in the NFL as opposed to the other ones. Then I put Jimmy G, then I put Peyton. And, no matter what we say up here, though, there's not a wrong answer, I don't think.
No.
They were
Well,
all-
the only maybe wrong answer would be the 1978 National Championship quarterback, and I cannot think of his name right now for the heck of me. But I guess if you want to go by winning in college at EIU, he would be it.
I think it was Steve Turk.
Steve Turk, there you go. Yeah. And so that would be the only other option. But yeah, it's such a cool place to work when you get the fact that Garoppolo, Peyton, and Romo all played here.
And Rameen and I have talked about this a lot. We would have loved to have seen what Jimmy G could have done on that cold, icy night here in Charleston if the field was clear.
Oh yeah, that was just the weather got us.
Or didn't have to play that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the next day would have been fine.
Hey, look. When this time of year, you get the playoffs, and this is not a knock at EIU. They had to make a decision on winter commencement and chose to not have a football game because Eastern was given the opportunity. Do you want to play on Saturday or do you want to play on Friday night? Friday night, it was a blizzard. I lived it. I taped it, and then they cleared it off, and it looked great on Saturday.
Well, since I do women's basketball, who do you think is the greatest women's basketball player of all time?
Okay, I will go first. I will go with someone that we taped and aired, and I'll never forget going to practice in 2009. How does EIU women's basketball follow that great group with Rachel Galligan to Kenny Nixon? Brady Salee said, watch out for this gal. And arguably her best season might have been her freshman year. I mean, you look at the stats, it might have been her freshman year. But nobody could catch her. And that was a great senior class, but it was led by their floor general, Kenya Nixon.
I will go with Rachel Galligan, who you mentioned, just for the fact that I remember when we did a lot of the games, but then John Twork was always talking about her, had her in for interviews and stuff. She's a really nice human being, and she was obviously a great basketball player at EIU. So Rachel Galligan for me.
She's still involved in the sport too.
Yep.
Yes, she came back last year to talk to the team to kind of give them a pep talk. Since you said Rachel, I'm going to go with Sabina Orisova. As Rameen liked to call her, the Slovakian Express.
Sabi.
Yeah, she ended up one of the top 15 scorers all time, EIU history. She was just a gritty, tough-nosed player, and I think she is still playing overseas.
Oh, wow.
And I think if I recall, because when I came back to Eastern in 2007, we really hadn't seen that, what we see now is an explosion, because Rob's got some fun names to call this coming season with international players. But she was kind of that start of international players for at least the EIU women.
There you go.
We'll go next. Most underappreciated, I guess it's whichever one you feel like answering. Most underappreciated EIU athlete, sport, or coach.
I'll go first here. I think we always talk about football, basketball, maybe softball lately. Volleyball had a great year, but you got to look back at the national championships that track and field and cross country, if you combine those two, have won at this university over the last 50, 60 years. Consistently a winning program. Probably doesn't get near as much recognition because it's not a glamour sport, and there's so many different events inside track and field that you don't really know who to like. But when you look back at some of the guys who've went on to Olympics and stuff that participated in track and field and cross country at EIU.
And I will go one level into that. I'm going to single out Coach Tom Akers. Tom Akers was the longtime EIU track and field coach here while we've all been collectively here. And I can't recall many seasons where both the men's and women's teams were not hoisting up that trophy, whether it be indoor or outdoor. And he has continued what Jeff has said. Arguably, every year, it is the winningest program at EIU, regardless of sport. Yep. And yes, track and field is not one of those A sports when you look at what are the most important sports. But I'm going to go Tom Akers, track and field.
It's funny. You went with the sport. You went with the coach. I'm going to go with an athlete. And from Nashville, Illinois, Erica Brown. She was a hard-nosed player, played 4 years here at Eastern Illinois University, and she is the only player in EIU women's basketball history to have a triple-double. It came against Illinois State on December 1st of 2016, 11 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 blocks.
That's a good day. That's a good day.
That's a wow stat that will probably never happen again.
There you go. Is it?
Old logo.
Oh, old logo or new logo? I know there's a lot of Billy fans out there. There's a couple of renditions of Billy that still are out there, but I think the new logo is pretty sharp. It looks really good on most of the uniforms that Eastern has right now, and I think the people did a really good job. So I'm going to go old logo, but if I had to percentage it, it'd be 51-49% to Billy, because Billy is awesome.
Yes, I think the new logo looks clean for TV, all the print media areas, but I'm going to go with that logo of the 80s, the late 80s when I was a kid. That was just a lot of fun.
At first, I really didn't like the new logo, but then it just really fits. I think the new logo is slightly better, like Jeff said, than the old Billy the Panther.
It pops on a helmet, as
Yes,
you can
it
see
does.
right in front of us.
There you go. Robert?
Change one rule in college sports. What would it be?
I'm going to go to soccer because this has been a pet peeve of mine forever. Offsides in soccer is the dumbest rule in the history of all sports for all of mankind. It's undisputably ignorant. I, as an athlete, have always been taught I need to beat my opponent downfield. In soccer, if I beat my opponent downfield and get the ball passed to me, I'm offsides. Makes no sense. No one will ever convince me it's right. It's wrong. Eliminate offsides in soccer, and people would actually watch the sport.
Interesting timing of that with the World Cup just days away from starting. I will go with more of a just consistency of the moment. Every sport is getting the opportunity for coaches to challenge, and it's very fluid. So just look for that to continue to stabilize and be more consistent on that, I guess.
Well, I am going to go to men's basketball and do away with the halves, because every level of basketball that you play is quarters, except for men's
That
basketball.
makes them unique, I guess.
So I would go to the quarter system. It's really worked well for the women's basketball game. Then in the final minute of a ball game, if you have a timeout, you call a timeout before you advance the ball. You can actually advance the ball to mid-court. So I would say go to the quarter system.
There you go. We're talking a lot of EIU sports today here on Watch Us Talk Sports. The next one is, if Eastern Illinois could add a sport, what would it be, Robin or me?
I'm going to go to one that was here and make it for both. Rugby.
I'm going to go ice hockey, because if you've never been to a hockey game, it is just so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, these two fellas are wrong. Wrestling should be brought back to EIU.
Yes.
Wrestling was a winning sport here. It had a national champion in Dave Clem. The fact that we got rid of it still aggravates me to this day. We're in a very good area for wrestling in Central Illinois. For the last 5 or 6 years, guys from Champaign, Urbana have been at the University of Illinois wrestling at the top level. A lot of those kids that were just under them could have wrestled here at Eastern. So bring back wrestling at Eastern would be my vote.
And one of those athletes that we haven't name dropped, because I believe he was a wrestler, was Matt Hughes. He did MMA for EIU. All right, if you were on the search committee for the new EIU AD, because EIU is currently looking for one, what would each of you be looking for?
I'll go first on this one just because I still think that it's okay to recruit local. I know the emphasis is not always on that in the money sports, but I still believe that recruiting local in a 60 to 75 mile radius is something that Eastern can do a better job of, and maybe a little bit of emphasis. I'm not saying you have to go out and get everybody from Mattoon or Charleston or Effingham, but there are at least 1 or 2 athletes in the different sports that can play at this level, and I think it would help. It would increase attendance, and I think it would be good for EIU if they recruited better locally for athletics.
Well, I'm just looking for somebody who has experience, because our last athletic director had experience as an assistant athletic director at Illinois. He came here, was here for 12 great years. So you need somebody who can continue the legacy of what was brought here from Illinois for the last 12 years.
I'm going to go with a pretty obvious one. As we know, we live in a world of not just being able to recruit athletes, but the facilities, the venues. I mean, when will we ever see a new football field? Probably not in our lifetime, unless something happens. And so there's been ideas that have been drawn up from previous athletic directors since we've been here. So when's that next AD going to be able to come in and make that wow thing happen?
What EIU related guest would you like to interview on this show?
I want to bring back Coach Dino Babers because he's one of my all-time favorite people that's ever been here, and just talk about remembering the Garoppolo era, but also then going forward with his career. Went to Bowling Green, then he went to Syracuse, Arizona. And he had a successful career. He's now retired, but I would just love to ask him some questions like, man, if we could have afforded you, what do you think you could have done here at EIU? Because he really did have this town alive with his personality, his just outgoingness, and he was just a great guy and fun to talk to. So I would love to bring Dino back for an interview.
The person that has appeared most in this studio in WEIU history, the stories that Dave Kidwell has. You've interviewed him on your show, Jeff. We've had him on multiple WEIU TV related programs, but I'm sure Dave Kidwell has more stories that we haven't heard that need to be shared.
Well, I hang out with Dave Kidwell usually once a week. We go and just talk sports and whatever we come up with, and he's just so much fun to talk to. I mean, I would have him on that list, but I'd like to have Tony Romo in here to see, have him just talk about his experience here at Eastern.
There you go.
Rob, you're next. Oh, no, Jeff, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. What college would either of you two like to come play EIU men, women, football, basketball? It can be baseball, whatever. Is there just a college you'd like to see so you could say, hey, I saw that? Because remember a couple years ago, EIU had Washington University, the University of Washington, from the Pac-12 or Big Ten. I can't remember what the heck
Well, Illinois is coming down here. Notre Dame's coming down here for volleyball this year, so that's kind of cool. But you know what I'm probably going to say here.
Central Florida.
The University of Central Florida, especially if it's a women's basketball game, because I've never broadcast a UCF sporting event before.
There you go.
Geographically, I'll just more stick to a region, any Big Ten team. Any Big Ten team coming into Charleston, Illinois. In the late 80s, the EIU men hosted Wisconsin. Can you imagine the brand of the Big Ten now for any one of those teams to come in on any of those sports? I know volleyball is volleyball, but if any of those sports, basketball or football, could ever get one of those, any Big Ten team would be great.
Well, you remember how raucous this arena was when Illinois came just for that exhibition game. It was a sellout. There was no seat to be found in that arena that night.
In this day and age, it's going to be almost impossible for that to happen, but hey, it's a pipe dream.
Yeah. Mine would be a real big pipe dream. It would be Oklahoma softball at EIU softball.
Oh, yes.
Because like Rob, I've never got a call an Oklahoma game. Oklahoma's kind of my other favorite university. I love the Sooners, and obviously Oklahoma softball is they're one of the elite programs, and it'd be really cool to see them out there at Williams Field. Don't think it's going to happen, but you got to have dreams, guys.
Oklahoma. Okay, this next one, I actually changed my answer, so I'll go ahead and ask it, and I'll make sure I don't change it up. Who do you think is the greatest head coach in EIU history? A lot of great candidates.
Any sport, doesn't matter.
Any
Rob?
sport.
Bob Spoo. I mean, he really turned this program around. It was at a point where it looked like he was going to get let go. They went on a winning streak, and that really jump-started EIU football to getting back to prominence in the NCAA Division I AA, now known as FCS. And, he was just such a really great guy, too. My favorite Bob Spoo story to tell, by the way, we were down there at UCF playing a game down there, and my friends and I were helping my dad on the sideline. We went into the locker room and heard his halftime speech. We were so fired up that we were ready to put on the pads and the helmet and get out there and play, even though none of the three of us had ever played football before.
I second that. Bob Spoo, not just what he did for EIU, the longevity and just the stability he kept the program at. As many of his coaches changed every year, he was there, and he was a gentleman. Church came first in his life, family came second, then football. You can't beat Bob Spoo as a human being, and so I vote Bob as well.
So Bob Spoo is the correct answer, but I'm gonna change it up because I thought about this long and hard. It's Daryl Mudra. Daryl Mudra, before Bob Spoo, it was a dying program. If you know EIU football history, from about 62, 63 to 1977, look at the records. And the story is that EIU football was on the chopping block, not to quote another fun TV show. But Daryl Mudra came in and did the improbable. One of the greatest things you can do in sports is worst to first. And that 78 EIU football team, I know it was Division II. And then they had another second place finish a couple years later. What a 5-year run by Daryl Mudra.
And keep in mind, they were supposed to be really bad in '78. They were predicted to the bottom of the whatever conference that was at the time, and so they were not expected to do anything, let alone win the national championship.
You really can't discount, though, what Rick Samuels meant
Samuels
to the
on the list.
community, too.
You know, Tom Akers, as we talked about, you know, Padovan. There's a bunch of coaches here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
If you have a facility named after you, you've done
Lance
something.
O'Brien, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
Groniger now.
Yes.
There you go.
Guess that'll wrap it up.
All right.
That's going to do it for our show. Hope you're enjoying our new adventure here.
Yeah.
If you have any topics you want to talk to us about, WEIU.net. We'll have other shows coming up, EIU and non-EIU related.
We'll be back next Wednesday for another Watch Us Talk Sports.